So what is success to you?
Yeah, to me, success is making sure that you have great options for yourself, for your family. And then I think it's also being a positive influence to people, not just in your family, but in your community.
Absolutely. This podcast is all about mindset. It's all about how people have inspired me and how they'll inspire our guests listening. Welcome back, everybody, to the Elle Daily Podcast, better known as the EDP, where we talk about all things to inspire and elevate our lives. I'm your host, Ellen Roars, and happy you've joined for today's episode. Episode 8 is going to be a good one.
It's going to be the best one of all time. It's going to melt everybody's face.
Absolutely. I'm sitting across from the fabulous David Olson. We've known each other for years, 30 plus years. Before I formally introduce him, though, I just want to say a couple housekeeping tidbits. If you are new, thank you for stopping by. If you're a regular on the Elle Daily Podcast, I appreciate you so much. We are sponsored here by Buzzsprout. I will absolutely put links and information on how you can connect with David below. You'll see that all the information is in the notes there, as well as if you're joining on iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, YouTube. Any of the platforms are fabulous. Thank you for being here. Just hit the like and subscribe button. You will be notified of the next post or broadcast. And 2, it does help me grow, so I appreciate that. Before I formally introduce you to David, I do want to give you a bit about his background and bio. 1, because he's far too humble to deliver this information himself. And 2, because I want you to understand why I picked David for our inspirational guest. I know you'll quickly see why he has inspired me and how he will inspire you. So a little bit about his background on the business side. David is a true leader. He's an entrepreneur by heart. He's an artist by soul and business owner. He has over 12 plus licenses that he keeps up every year, which is amazing. And when he's not busy playing music or learning to fly planes, he's typically volunteering at a local high school. He works full-time as a real estate broker and general contractor in Minnesota as well. In David's 15-year real estate career, he's helped over 3,000 families buy and sell homes and has sold over $1 billion in gross sales. That's pretty awesome. So the business side, you can see it's very clear why I've picked David. But the side that I know you're going to find most inspirational, and you'll quickly see, is his big heart. David has a heart of gold, and he has a strong mindset. He knows how to have patience and virtue. He is a family guy where he adores his wife. He loves his children. It has been a blessing to be reconnected with David, and I'm so excited for you all to be connected with him. So with that, we'll jump right into today's episode. So David, why don't you say a quick hello just so my guests can see and hear that you really
everybody.
are here.
It's great to be here with you, Ellen, on your podcast.
Yeah.
Very exciting and very cool to be doing this with someone that we have so much history together.
It's kind of cool how we reconnected. You know, David and I were on the same school bus from, grade school, middle school, up into high school. I don't even know, what was that, County Road 10, maybe, that we lived on in Big Lake, Minnesota? County Road 11. 10
was the other one. I think it was, yeah.
You're right. So we would be on the same bus to get to school. We may or may not have been in band, marching band even.
Yes, that's the highest, level of achievement.
Yeah, we got a great trumpeter here, Guru. I played the French horn.
French horn, yes.
Yep. David still plays music. We're going to get into a bit of that. So he's become a professional musician, whereas I listen to music. So there's that. Twin Cities Property Finder is the business that he's built, along with Whitefish Property Chain, right?
It's on the Whitefish chain, but it's called Whitefish Property Finder.
That's right.
Property Finder is like the part that blends it all together. But
yeah.
We'll get into that more later.
He's also, he's got his Wisconsin brokers as well. So along with that, insurance agent, a contractor. I mean, he's kind of just like got it all, which is pretty cool because he can offer a one-stop shop for anyone that wants to build a home, buy a home, renovate a home, decorate a home. So the list goes on. But let's start with the first question. So a lot of times on my podcast, again, I talk about mindset, success. And success is different to all of us. I want to take it back to kind of when you said not necessarily the dark days because you were happy in love and soon to be a new dad, but had some fears with the recession that you mentioned, having to work night shift, which was probably not a dream job for you at the time, I imagine.
Not for anybody.
Yeah. And let's even circle it back to further. Like you actually went to school to be a music teacher, right? Or you were a minister for a short time.
Yeah.
And you've he's done a lot. And so you're going to see again why he's been so inspiring to me and why he'll inspire you. So let's take it back to kind of early on.
So backing up, essentially the house that I grew up in was a teardown that my parents purchased because in Monticello there was a new bridge coming to town and they were tearing down this house that was in the way. My parents purchased it and they paid to have it moved to another location.
Yeah.
So the house we grew up in, it was always under construction.
Yeah.
It didn't have siding for many years. We didn't have sheetrock sometimes. It was, my parents put up wrapping paper. And the opportunities that we had were limited. However, that's something, as you grow up and you get older and you move out of town and you look back, I cherish the incredible love and sacrifice that my parents made to provide opportunities for my siblings and myself when they had such limited resources. Yeah. And so the point of that is just how simple and humble those beginnings were, and where my parents maybe didn't have financial resources, what they had was really strong values and faith.
Good foundation.
And that was a part that was woven into my journey, is having values and principles that ground me.
That's one thing I've always I feel like it's a mutual connection that I have because I feel very much the same way with my upbringing. Just feel very blessed to have the love and support that my parents had, but again, didn't always have the resources. Had to get my way through college and continue to move forward. But yeah, so I love that. Humble beginnings, but just the love and support you needed.
And it motivated me. My dad was an electrician. I worked with him. My adolescence was like climbing these 120-degree attics in the summer to help pull wires or digging trenches outside in the sand. I just remember that was a point where I was like, I am never getting a blue-collar job. I am never going to be in the trades. I know what it's like as a son to watch my parents work so hard and someone stiff them and not pay them for the work that they did and how that would affect us. And I always wanted to improve, build on what they did, take the sacrifices that they made and make them better. And when I was 3.5, my parents started having me get violin lessons.
Oh, I didn't know you played violin. I knew guitar and I knew your great singing voice.
My mom had a really good friend. Her name was Kathy. At 3.5, she started teaching me violin lessons until I was 11.
I didn't know that,
and so,
David.
That was just something that I did.
No wonder why he was such a good band guy. I mean, I was like second or third chair. I think you were first trumpeter, first chair.
So music was like a part of my upbringing. And what I learned later on, many, many years later, was that my parents couldn't afford music lessons.
Yeah, and you never knew that growing up though, maybe.
No, I had no clue. And,
which is so neat.
My music teachers had a pretty big family, and we had a big family. And my mom essentially traded daycare so that her kids could get lessons from this incredibly talented violin teacher and performer, prodigy. Like, she was incredible.
That's awesome.
And so middle school, did the trumpet thing. Was in a symphony with that, Gitsy's Greater Twin Cities Youth Symphony.
I didn't know that. There's a lot we're going to learn about him too.
I was in pep band. I was one of those guys, as you know, I didn't go through puberty till I was probably like 30. So
well, I think that was the biggest surprise. I was like, oh my gosh, he's tall. What was it that made you decide this was what I want to go to school for?
So I really got into art, and I did a lot of drawing.
Okay.
And towards my junior, senior year, I did a lot of art competitions.
Yeah.
Which is very nerdy.
No.
It inspired me so that when I went to college, I wanted to get an art degree.
Yeah, okay.
I wanted to learn how to draw and paint and do that better. And as I started my freshman year, I realized, what am I doing? That's a very expensive degree.
Yeah.
And when I graduate, a lot of classes are art history, which at the time I wasn't really interested in.
So for the Minnesota people, why don't you throw out your colleges just so for fun?
I went to Northwestern and St. Paul. I got 3 degrees. Music, which was guitar, and then a Bible degree, which is like theology and history.
Yeah, which is maybe where the minister aspect came in down the road?
I think where it planted the seed, And then I got psychology. I just wanted to better understand people.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, I didn't do the linear thing. It wasn't going from point A to point B. It was follow my passions.
Yeah,
I wanted to be a better artist. I wanted to be a better musician. And really what I want to do is be a rock star.
Okay, that's great.
And so I was in a lot of bands. It set me up to have really unique education to do ministry as a music director at a church.
Which I think, without you even thinking about it, and you said how once the real estate came in, it kind of connected all the dots or tessellated everything together for you. Was that something that you felt helped your real estate business grow, or maybe not necessarily? How did those tie in together? When you said it just clicked, how did it click and why?
So real estate was never like a goal of mine.
Okay.
I was full-time. I went and got my master's degree at Bethel Seminary. I was going to do full-time vocational ministry.
Okay.
And for 5 years, I worked at a fairly large church,
The one in
Wooddale and Eden Prairie.
Yes. If you're in Minnesota, you absolutely know that, or drive by it off of 169.
Yeah, it's right after 169, 62, Shady Oak Road.
Okay.
At the time, I believe there was 8 services on a weekend. There was around 8,000 families that were
Busy.
a part of this, and it was unbelievable opportunity to be surrounded by incredible leaders.
Please welcome David Olson.
Amazing people. I'm full-fledged going to be in ministry.
Okay.
That's my goal. I want to be the best musician possible. I get this amazing opportunity at this church.
Yeah, and you haven't met Aaron yet.
No.
Okay.
And my last year of my graduate degree, I was introduced to her. I was set up.
Okay.
Someone said, you should meet this gal.
Yeah,
And we actually went to the same college, but we didn't know each other.
Very cool.
And she was into sports and business. I just didn't think it would work. I was into
You guys are all-
theology.
yeah.
I was into music. And,
Okay.
loved to be on the stage. She was, in the background. But during that last year of working there, we started dating. We got engaged, and opposites attract kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And we got married, and I graduated, and then that's when the recession hit, and I lost my job. My wife had owned a condo in Bloomington
Okay.
before I knew her. I had purchased a house in Roseville, Minnesota.
Okay.
Subprime mortgage, meaning you pay less than the interest.
Oh, so is that the adjustable arm situation
Yes,
that was
it
going on?
adjusts, and the longer you own it,
Yep.
the more interest you owe.
Okay, I
And
remember
it was
those.
a 1950s house. It was full of deferred maintenance. It was the worst investment I've ever made.
Yeah.
Maybe the best investment.
Maybe the best, because sometimes those rock bottom moments are the things that.
So it was solving problems is really what also motivated me.
Yeah,
And the thing is doing ministry as a job.
Yeah.
They invite you into their homes. They
Yeah.
invite you to be a part of these most intimate moments. Kids being born, getting married, death, divorce,
Yeah.
sickness. And so you're almost like this counselor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, and you're helping people make really important decisions with their life. And so when the recession hit, it was kind of the first time when I lost my job where everything was like dreaming about what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
None of that mattered anymore now.
Yeah.
It was, I have 3 houses to pay for. Her condo, my place up in Roseville, and then we just bought this house in Chaska.
Wow.
Because it was close to where she worked.
Okay.
And then she had lost her job. Her job was to open up new clubs for Lifetime Fitness from Minnesota down to
Lifetime
Texas.
is a big, yep. Okay.
It was a big athletic thing. But they kind of put the brakes on everything for building. And so
Sure.
there we were looking at each other. And it didn't matter, again, what I was passionate about.
Yeah.
Where I wanted to work or any of that. It was just get a job.
Yeah,
And
make
so
ends meet at that point.
my father-in-law was a transportation manager at Country Inn Suites.
There you go.
He needed bus drivers, and it was like the biggest piece of humble pie.
I know we've all had hard times, but I don't think I've ever been there. Newly married, 3 mortgages, a baby on the way, thinking, holy buckets, what do we do next?
Yeah. And, I have 12 licenses today and growing.
Yeah.
One of them is commercial Class C bus license.
All right.
Yes, 24-ton axle. So
Yes.
many times in my journey, I'm like, I don't need to renew that. And I renew it on purpose because I don't want to forget that moment.
beginning. That's good.
And
Yeah.
so
that's good
working
story.
night shift as a bus driver was, for me, very humbling. It was just not my favorite thing.
No, I understand that.
And people that miss their flights are the ones that drive or need a hotel at
So
night.
I just
So they
drive
were just
super
angry.
fast. Yeah.
It's $10 an hour. Oh my goodness, it was.
How long did you have to do that before you got your feet back, kind of?
Well, so as I'm working for $10 an hour driving a bus, I'm desperately trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And I thought that we would have to sell and move out of state to continue working in a church. Some people come from a faith background, some people don't. But that was the part that was, really motivating me is to do something that matters in people's lives.
Yeah,
and
different. Yep.
someone had approached me because they knew my situation, and they said, if you go door knocking for this real estate agent, and somebody answers the door and they sell their home with this realtor, they'll give you $100 when it closes.
There you go.
And so it's like, well, that's miserable, but you know what? It's not any miserable than what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And so in the process of considering doing that, other people said, no, what are you doing? Just get your license.
Yeah, yeah.
And you'd make more, and then it was like, well, I've got 3 houses to sell. I'll save money on that. So that was really the heart of it. Like, I didn't even know what real estate really was, how it worked.
Yeah, yeah. Completely opposite from your initial,
It wasn't even on my radar.
Yeah.
And so got my license, and I had been also touring as a musician with a group out in New York, pursuing that music piece, thinking that had to be my be-all, end-all.
Yeah.
And in getting my real estate license, it's like all these dots connected.
Yeah.
And like, understanding people with a psychology degree. Well, that's really helpful.
Yep.
Working in a church where you're on the front lines of these intimate moments of helping people make important decisions. Same thing is true in real estate.
Absolutely.
The music stuff where you're, producing, creating, and promoting yourself and your music. It's like almost carbon copy in real estate. You're promoting yourself and your services.
Yeah.
So when I got into real estate, literally every single person that I valued as a mentor, as an influence, took me aside and said, are you crazy? Do not go into real estate. It's a recession. It's of all the industries you shouldn't do, that's one of them. But there was something that I can't even express.
Yeah.
That was like a burning passion where I realized I think I could do this, and I think I could do it well. And I mean, my wife took me aside. Please don't do this. My old boss, the one that had laid me off, like basically said, "You're an idiot. Like don't do that."
I'm so glad you followed your gut intuition, or like that inner voice of you, and just trusted it. Because think about, how far you've come, and if you can do it then. It's absolutely...
I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so when I got into it right away, there was all these realtors who had been in it for 30, 40 years that were quitting, retiring.
And felt like, this is such a downtime, not even worth it. But you didn't know that per se, and kind of felt like I can just keep pushing and going.
Seeing these people that worked 4 decades retire on a Wednesday, get a cake, and on Thursday have nothing.
Yeah.
I thought, that is really messed up. Like any industry that you're in, if you're committing your entire life and you have nothing to show for it, like someone's got to do it differently.
Yep.
So that was like a thing, like right in front of me, happening nonstop around this office I was in.
So did you already have the vision for Twin Cities Property Finder at that time, or are you not even thinking that big yet?
I didn't even know what a brokerage probably was at that point. I just knew like anyone who put 4 decades into an industry and was done the next day and had nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
There's got to be a better way to do it.
Yeah.
So I had that. And then the second thing was, there I am, still driving bus.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
Knocking on doors.
This is like the lowest point ever. And, we're pregnant. I got to provide better options.
Yeah.
So I had this mindset, like failure was not an option. I would work as hard as I needed to work to succeed.
Yeah.
To provide better options and to get out of this really deep, dark hole.
Yeah. One thing that just came up to my mind, though, was you had recently posted a YouTube video. I'll make sure to put that link, his latest video, that really talked about how kind of your journey to become a realtor and maybe all the calls that you did back in the day and what it takes. Can you kind of elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah. A large part of it is the mindset.
Yeah.
Being a realtor is a really tough job. It's very hard. Sales in general. And there's a lot of people that get into real estate thinking, financial freedom, and make big money, and it's there's an opportunity to grow that and to get to that. But it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It's a lot of digging through the trenches. And I use the analogy of climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
Over a 15-year period of time, like some of the original footage when I started to today.
Yeah.
And just in 60 seconds, basically shared some advice about how hard it is, the mindset to have, and hopefully inspire people to keep their focus and knowing what to do. In these different experiences that I had and people giving me incentives to work for them, reflecting back on that start when everyone was retiring, is I realized I want to build a business, not just have a job. And I want something when I retire, whether it's 40 years from now or tomorrow, that I could sell. And it's, having systems and processes and a brand that didn't depend on me. It was something else. And so with Twin Cities Property Finder, it said where we worked, explains the services that we provide. It's the same direction online to find it on the website.
Yep.
And the goal was to build this as a team and then start it as a brokerage and have agents join us and help them to have the same experience that I had.
Yeah.
Which was giving them the tools and the resources and the systems and processes and the motivation and mindset to have a better life.
Absolutely.
So
and somebody can start. I mean, this is something I also had talked to David a little bit about the business side of things because I've always been intrigued by real estate. It's always been a passion of mine. My aunt is a realtor and a good one at that too. And I've always just seen her, but I also, on the flip side, have seen, the weekends that she'd put in, the heart and soul evenings, just always kind of being at somebody's beck and call. But I also know that there is a way as you continue to grow like you have, where you have processes in place and team members that can work with you and assist. So you do have a very good quality of life as well. Yes, you may work hard, but there is that quality of life. I want to go back to, what would it take for somebody to join your team? Let's kind of have a brief intro to that.
Well, so within our brokerages, there's actually a variety of teams. I mean, obviously they can call me, they can visit our website, but the 4 brokerages that we have all serve a different purpose. Some of them are based on geographical areas. So Twin Cities, it's like the 11 county metro area.
Yeah, makes sense.
Whitefish Property Finder is really the Brainerd Lakes, cabins, lake home, vacation rentals. We have Minnesota Referral Finder, which is essentially agents that are new, maybe retiring, and they just want like the least amount of overhead to get their experience and confidence built up. And then Wisconsin Property Finder. As a broker, I want to help people live a better life, whether they're buying and selling, whether they're getting into sales. And I want to use my story, what influence I have, to help them live a better life.
One thing that's really cool, what Aaron and David have created too, is everything's kind of done for you. I mean, they have a website that you're able to go into, right? So they have a marketing team that will build your business cards, some of the marketing material that you would utilize if you do want to, kind of move forward.
It's an easy button.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do is anyone who wants to get into real estate and they're like, how do we do this? We can demystify the process.
Yep.
Press the easy button. Succeeding in real estate looks different.
Yeah.
It's not all the same for everybody. And so to make people do exactly what I did, that's not necessarily the plan either.
Yeah.
But I'm a living, breathing example that it can be done.
Right.
Coming from very simple means, in very kind of dire, straight financial circumstances, and climb to the summit.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
continue to climb. So
it's exciting. And that's what I think is great is like whether you want to be part-time with this or dive full-time in, it's your choice and it's kind of what works for you. So I think that's pretty awesome.
So, back in the day, it was like brick and mortar buildings and who had the nicest equipment and the staff to manage it.
Yeah.
Today, none of that matters. So being a virtual brokerage is huge.
Yeah.
And so that's when we started, it was over 5 years ago with the brokerage with Twin Cities Property Finder. We did it virtually. And at the time, people were like...
You were way advanced then, if you think about it.
Well, they thought it was weird. You got to have a building.
Yeah.
Well, who would do virtual? And when COVID happened, we were already set up and running on all cylinders.
Yeah.
And it was about having great tools and providing as much value as we could. And the thing is with real estate is the industry is changing all the time.
Right.
The software is changing, the laws are changing, the purchase agreements are changing. And there's a lot of agents that, work really hard.
Yeah.
And it's easy to develop an ego. Like, look what I do. And to us, that's like the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
It's about serving other people. And, there's a lot of education requirements over the years. And so one of the problems that I saw is that, when you hire an insurance person, as a homeowner, it's third party. When you hire a contractor to fix something, it's another third party. When you hire a realtor, it's another third party. And so in that process of helping people buy and sell homes, just nonstop, the problems were, how do we fix this house? How do we repair this? How much does it cost? And so this is where everything came full circle for me.
Yeah.
Is this general contracting license that I got. Not only can I write estimates, not only can we renovate the homes for people, not only can we flip the houses for investors, it gets me off the computer, and it's a really cool way to honor my grandfathers and my dad, because that's what they did their whole lives.
Trade, yeah.
Hopefully I can improve on it and again create an easy button. So to me, realtors that are just going around flexing
Yeah.
about how great they are, or just trying to be prom king or queen. It's just so superficial. It's
Yeah.
just so obnoxious and disgusting.
And I've never seen that side of you ever, so I don't think you have it in your
Well,
blood.
I don't build our companies around
Yeah.
me. I build it around brands.
Yeah.
The whole point is I want to build our companies around other people.
I want to go a little bit more into mindset. I know you kind of started with a bit of that, and just where you grew up and just your humble beginnings and kind of where you've been. When you first started, who were those mentors?
A lot of it was rolling up my sleeves.
Yeah.
And just putting on my boots and working really hard.
Yeah. Okay.
Focused hard work consistently was the thing.
Was there somebody that you listened to kind of inspire you, or was there somebody that you would follow maybe on YouTube? I don't even know if YouTube was around back then, probably not. But a book that you read.
Yeah, there was so many. I was just a sponge.
Okay.
All things real estate. I read books. I watched and listened to other speakers. I went to conferences.
Okay.
I mean, 7 days a week. Morning, afternoon, evening, like that's all I did. I ate, slept, and breathed real estate.
But at the same time, he is an amazing father, a great. You are a family man, true and true. So, how did you find the balance?
Well, there's a period of time, especially when you're doing like a vertical climb, in growing a business, where things were out of balance.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was this period of time where I'm helping raise my kids, my daughters, while I'm trying to manage a business. And that was probably the hardest part for me.
Yeah.
It's actually much harder than doing a stupid job at the night shift.
Yeah.
It took whatever your breaking point is.
Yeah.
It was like way beyond that. And trying to have, serious calls with clients with kids crying in the background.
Yeah.
Changing diapers while you're negotiating a deal with another agent who's a jerk on the phone.
Yeah.
Those calls, at 11 o'clock at night or 7:30 in the morning on a Sunday, people were just inconsiderate of my time.
Yeah.
Didn't understand the life stage or season I was in. Zero considerations. There's stuff like that, and then you have the added stress of taking care of babies and kids and wanting the best for them. And so the thing that kept me going through is I just remember where I was, what I came through, the sacrifice my parents made, that my grandparents made, and I just had to do better. Yeah. I had to give more. And so the mindset is so huge. It really, really is. Yeah. Just to, that analogy of climbing, a mountain, there's going to be times where you're tired and you got to keep climbing. Yeah. And there's going to be times where you're distracted and you have to keep climbing. And there's times where you have major setbacks. Yeah. And you have to keep climbing. And then there's times where you're so emotionally bankrupt and you feel so misunderstood and you have to keep climbing. And then there's times where every fiber of your being, you just want to quit. And you got to keep climbing.
So what is it that you tell yourself? I mean, is it, I want best for my girls and my wife? And is that what keeps you going, or what keeps you motivated to keep climbing?
There's a variety of things. And over the years, it's changed for me. But that mindset hasn't. There's a period of time where it was, I had $63,000 of college debt.
Oh, you had more than me, David.
I know, not a wise thing.
I guess you were you got your master's. That's right. So.
But so it was like, get out of this hole.
Yeah.
I can't drive $10 an hour to get out of that hole.
No.
And provide for a family.
And it felt very overwhelming.
And I couldn't work in a church.
Even if you had a church job, $63,000, which I'm sure some of you out there after school maybe have been there, and maybe that's another reason to consider.
They're probably lawyers or doctors, not musicians, but there's probably some musicians out there too. The thing is once you're in this absolute survival mentality, it's hard to get better opportunities because you're so buried. Yeah. Like emotionally, physically, spiritually, it's hard to take big risks. Yeah. And so for me, it was like, if I'm going to take a risk, I'm taking a ginormous risk into this real estate thing, and I'm not going to give up.
All in.
I'm going to provide a better opportunity for my kids. I'm going to provide a better opportunity for my parents. I'm going to do things for them that I never thought were possible and that they never thought were possible. And
it's probably been fun for them to see you grow and to see.
That's been the most incredible thing.
You know, I saw that there was a video, and maybe we'll try to find a picture of your parents too, out at the lake property that you have up north, which is a beautiful, I mean, his cabin up north is my dream home. So if that kind of tells you, and we're in my double dream home right now. So we're just this is the basement. So I don't know if that tells you, this is just one of their fireplaces. But where I wanted to say is, like, you really have provided. Where are you in the mountain? Here's the top of the mountain. Are you here yet? Are you here? Where do you feel like you are? Do you take time to step back and look at all that you have accomplished already, all the abundance and the greatness? Do you celebrate where you are? Are you good about that, or do you just keep going? Do you ever stop to look and enjoy and smell the roses and say, look what I've done so far, and look at the view of where you're at?
I think it's good to honor the past.
Okay.
Plan for the future.
Yep.
But live in the moment.
Okay.
And I do have times where I can step back and go, wow.
Yeah.
But even just preparing for this interview.
Yeah.
Going back and like talking about where we came from. Mm-hmm. It's emotional for me. And we mentioned the bus. I mean, like, that's the stuff I was ashamed of and embarrassed.
Oh, and I had some of the cars.
It gives me, like, I can go right back to that emotion of, like, being terrified of, like, feeling so stuck.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
But for me, I keep climbing. Mm-hmm. And it's almost, I don't want to say it's an addiction. It's just the opportunities that have gotten so amazing. Mm-hmm. The impact I've been able to make on people's lives has been so rewarding.
Yeah.
And so the way I've been climbing has changed.
Okay.
And grown. And so, I'm going to keep opening more brokerages.
Good.
I'm going to keep building homes.
Yep.
and offering remodeling services. I'm going to keep doing insurance. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to keep pursuing my pilot's license.
Oh, that's right. I was going to talk about
I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
The other thing...
Is that so you can just fly easier to all your people, or what?
I want to get my seaplane rating to land at our cabin. So that's my big goal. So I finished ground school.
Yeah.
Took my physical. I started my hours, but I still have to finish my hours.
How many hours left?
There's 40 total. I have 20.
Okay.
So
I think we'll have to have him back on just to talk pilot's license here. And once you have it, I want a picture of you landing at your dock.
I'll send that to you. The thing here with the licensing.
Yeah.
So getting my master's was really hard.
Yep.
I got an MDiv, which is basically a really specialized degree in ministry where you learn Greek.
Oh,
an
gosh.
ancient dead language that people don't even speak anymore. It was so hard.
Yeah.
And
well, you can do anything if you've done that.
That was like where I came. It was like, if I can do that,
yeah.
I think, if I work hard enough,
yeah,
I can do anything.
How's your eyesight?
All right. That's one of my hang-ups with the pilot stuff is I'm colorblind. And so
I don't know if I knew that.
I have restrictions. I can't fly.
So your wife clearly does the decorating.
Yes,
okay.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes. And,
yeah. Did she pick out your outfit today?
She didn't pick this out today, but she might have picked this out, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But anyway, I think education.
Yeah.
Not to steer this in one direction, but education is one of the most incredible things.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
when I look back at my whole life,
mm-hmm.
The faith piece is the part that kept me grounded and helped me to live by principles
mm-hmm.
and to have good values. But the education piece was the difference. That was the key that unlocked doors.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking education like get a degree at college and no, that's
but
great. That's good for that, those certifications and license. The point is being a lifelong learner.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't need a third-party organization to pat you on the back and say,
mm-hmm.
hey, now you've got it. It's
mm-hmm.
if you're curious, figure it out.
Yeah.
If you want better opportunities, you want to know how something works, go for it. And the education part, for me, going full circle on this. So the last 2 years, I've been a substitute teacher.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a teaching license.
Mm-hmm.
But I found out as long as you have a college degree, you can substitute. And 40% of teachers don't have substitutes.
Huh.
So when they're sick,
yeah,
there's no one else to call.
Right.
And so with all the crazy stuff going on in the schools, there's a lot of people complaining, a lot of people criticizing teachers or the staff.
It'd be tough to be a teacher nowadays, for sure.
And so this was one of those things where it's like, well, I could do that once a month. And it's kind of evolved into now I'm doing it every Friday.
Yeah.
And I did it at a local high school. I don't have any kids that even go there.
Yeah.
It was just geographically the closest one.
Yeah, what a great opportunity to connect with just make a difference too in kids' lives too as well. So
it really is incredible. And I'm doing it at the elementary school, but the weird thing with that, just being a man, walking in a school as a teacher and giving compliments to kids.
Oh.
Like, great job.
Yeah.
Keep working hard. You know, this assignment you worked on, that was amazing.
Yes.
Just that. Not even knowing how to teach. Not even knowing what to say.
Yeah.
Just being a positive role model.
Yes. That makes me, that gives me
there's
chills thinking about
lift,
that. Mm-hmm.
And it's incredible.
Yeah.
And so like I think with like all these entrepreneurs that you meet and talk about, you know, it's great that we all have unlocked some unique opportunities through the hard work and the blood, sweat, and tears. But I really think, you know, coming full circle, it's giving back.
It is.
And it's serving. And,
yeah.
you know, we talked earlier about living a greater life. To me, that's what it is. It's making a difference in other people's lives.
Yeah.
It's not doing it for credit. It's not doing it for attention. It's not doing it as like a indirect marketing thing or any of that stuff. It's trying to change people's lives for the better.
Yeah, and I think that's what I find is so, you know, the reason that I want to become better always, and like you said, that continue learning, it's always an evolving process just to be the best versions of ourselves. But, you know, when you have that abundant life all around, you are able to share and give more. So it's like there's something about the time and making a difference for others, especially kids. But I don't think we all realize how much we can make an impact. Even, I don't get to work with kids directly, but just if I go and get a coffee and just to really engage and make eye contact with someone, it's funny how sometimes you can be somewhere and just like really catching their eye and smiling and just thank you, have a good day. Yeah, it really, you never know what somebody's thinking that day and just how much joy you can bring by giving a smile. I know it sounds really little, but it's so big in the whole scheme of life. And so I think if we all focus on how can we bring more love and joy to others, it comes full circle. I don't know how to explain it.
And, you know, in my own life, there are moments of brokenness.
Yeah.
Of just feeling almost depressed over certain things that you can't control.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've tried to do is to take that negative emotions, the things where I would feel sorry for myself, and actually intentionally put them into something positive. So instead of being, oh, poor me, or I hate how this situation I can't control, or I'm angry about this, like putting it into more education, putting it into trying to be a positive influence for other people.
Yeah, flipping the mindset of where's the good in this? Because we've all had things that have been negative or bad situations, but it's like flipping it to be like, well, what is the good? How can, I always kind of say, instead of what now, it's kind of like what's next in a way of like, or why me? You know, a lot of times it's like that pity party, like you said, oh, why me? It's kind of like, well, okay, what next?
Yeah.
What am I going to do next? How am I going to, change this mood of mine and really get out of my
like
slump?
relationships might not be working out, right? You feel misunderstood. You know, put that into reading a book about understanding communication.
Yeah.
Someone is a hater. They're saying terrible things about you online. Put that into learning about how to resolve conflict with respect.
Yeah.
And you use that to build.
Yeah.
And like all this negative crap that pulls you down, that stops you from climbing, is reversed 180 and is fuel to change the world.
You know, it's so funny you mentioned this. Like sometimes the biggest, I'm pretty good with mindset. I've gotten really good at it, especially over the last couple of years. And I know I was telling you and Aaron about the psychotherapy stuff I did or took the training in Berlin. And the best thing about that for me was just helping my mindset to know that I am enough, and knowing my self-worth and knowing that I can do anything I put my mind to. Because sometimes I get the imposter syndrome sometimes. And I feel like going through that, it has made me think, why would I question, could I do the whole real estate thing? So sometimes I'm my biggest, what would you say? The biggest roadblock for me is myself and the thoughts thinking, oh, well, I'm 40 already. You know, how am I going to build a clientele now? And, you know, nobody's going to want to work with me because I'm so new, and going into all these like Debbie Downer aspects of, no, you've got a lot of bits that you can offer to someone and you can continually grow and learn, and it's not too late. But I guess I'm thinking we can all put ourselves in that situation where it doesn't have to be necessarily real estate. It can be anything that you might have some self-doubts, but how do you get yourself to really think, no, stop thinking that way. Think about the positives. Think about the good that can happen.
The opportunity. I think there's some people that have a mindset where they're just terrified of risk.
Yeah.
And there's other people that thrive a
yes.
little bit.
And I'm the thrive. I think you and I are similar when it comes to that aspect. But yeah.
The way I see stuff too is, everything's like this sculpture where you're chipping away at it. You can't do it in a day or a week or a month or a year or maybe even a decade. And so it just takes a while chipping away. And I think for a lot of people,
it's a good way to look at it.
When they take risk or start a business or want to be an entrepreneur, it's like, oh, I don't want to be defined this way.
Yes.
Or I'm too good for this hard work.
Yeah.
Or the stuff below me. Or it's such a stretch. There's 10 trillion things I have to do in order to accomplish this. And if you don't look at it as something you're doing tomorrow, you look at it as something that you're just chipping away at.
Yeah, bit by bit.
And sometimes, you're chipping away. I thought I was chipping away at trying to be a really great pastor. And all of that energy and time allows me to actually, that skill set helps me be a better realtor, to help people make these important decisions when they're moving.
Yeah.
And I want to be a better agent. Well, that helps me actually in the sales part be a better contractor to help people do remodeling, because if I'm not caring about the customer service and the experience, it doesn't matter how well I design and have someone help me build stuff.
Yeah. And you're also a good teacher and a mentor for somebody that were to want to join the business on any level, too. You can help them to see the big picture and, take it bit by bit and just think about this right now, and then you can worry about this later, and just kind of give them a little roadmap. You're good with that.
I think anyone who wants to get into real estate and succeed, you can do it without losing your soul. You can do it without compromising your values.
Yeah.
You can do it while still having fulfilling relationships and a life. And
and you're proof of that for sure.
I hope that's the takeaway. Even if people are listening to this and they're like, what, nothing to do with the branding or what I'm doing. That's not the point. It's you can do it where you live. If you're in Arizona or California or over in Europe or wherever you're listening to this from, with the right mindset and motivation and the focused, consistent hard work, you really can do incredible things that are far bigger than yourself.
Yeah, more than you imagine, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's take it back. I know one of the questions I did want to ask you was if, you were talking to your high school self or maybe even your 20-year-old self, and they would have said, oh yeah, you're going to be a realtor and you're going to have your own brokerage and, multiple different areas with Twin Cities property, Finder, Whitefish, Wisconsin. Would you have believed it? Would you have been excited about it then? And now where you're at now, is there anything else that you'd rather do passion-wise or anything else that you think you would have rather done or focused on? I know that was kind of another loaded question for you, so take it however you want.
Well, if I talked to my 20-year-old self,
yeah,
I wouldn't have even known, again, what real estate is or what that industry entailed. I think I would have thought the idea of being a business owner was cool.
Yeah. But you wanted to be a rock star, like you said.
Yeah, I would have probably been like, time out on my education here. Why am I getting a music degree? Why am I doing I need to get a business or accounting degree. And there's probably a period in my life where I was a little resentful. Like, why didn't I do that? I'm in business, running businesses. Why would I do that? But that creativity.
Yeah, I think it all ties together.
That part of solving problems outside of the box. And
yeah, and you alluded it to just helping people. Like as a minister, you were able to understand what it's like to be in somebody's, kind of their heart and soul, that the home is that. And so you really were able to connect with people at a different level. So,
if there's people that are watching your program, I know most people are probably entrepreneurs in the business world, but there's probably people that work in nonprofits and maybe work in churches, and that I applaud you. That's amazing. What a great selfless thing to do. But it doesn't mean that has to be your be-all, end-all.
Yeah.
The real estate actually is so great. It's so flexible. It's so unique. It's so pliable to make it into what you need it to be. And if people work in a church full-time or part-time, real estate is an unbelievable option that complements the same skill set to help people make really important financial decisions.
Absolutely. I do feel like, I know for myself, there was almost a bit of a guilt to be financially abundant, if that makes sense. But even knowing there's so much good you can do with it, but there is a bit of a stigma or imposter syndrome or whatever. I don't know if
I think in certain faith communities, there's this direction of, the poorer you are, the more simple you are, the more holy or honorable that is.
Yeah, and that's a really good way to put it. That's
great.
Where I was going.
I think that's great for some people. I think the thing is, for me, and people maybe outside trying to look at what entrepreneurs do, it's really easy to write people off and go, oh, they're greedy, they're just trying to make money.
Yeah.
That's not the case. Again, money and financial stability is maybe part of it.
Right.
It's not the be-all, end-all. It's to have better opportunities.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's the part. Like my grandfather, he was a carpenter. I mean, they lived so poor their whole lives, and that's because that's how he wanted it to be.
Yeah.
That was being more devoted and more sacrificial. And I appreciate that about him. But having better opportunities, having more education, wanting to learn and empower other people, there's nothing to apologize about that.
Yeah, and we need good people to do good things with that type of abundance.
You can give of your time and your talents and resources.
Yeah.
But it's a whole nother amazing thing to give of your resources, of your money, to like invest big in things you believe in.
Right.
And in people that you believe in.
Yep.
And that's something before I could only watch.
Right.
When I worked in a church, like I could see other people who were key business leaders maybe do things like that.
Yeah.
But it's cool now to
be on that side.
On that side. I
think that was another thing that was so inspiring, is to know like, oh, wow. Think about how far your journey has taken you to be able to offer that for others. And I've got to meet some of your team over Christmas. I think that was last year. But pretty awesome to see the folks on your team that have been really successful with it too. So a couple things I do want to just wrap it up with is, I do want to know, so if you could say, we'll go back to mindset, what are some of your top books or maybe mentors or things that you would say, hands down, one of the best ones for me, and one you maybe would recommend to others?
Yep. One, if you're a business owner, is E-Myth Revisited by Michael Graber. There's different versions of that apply to different industries, but it's like a national bestseller. And it's just like a fictional story of someone who's a small business guru helping someone transform their job into a business. When I read that, it was
just kind of
mind-blowing. It was like so timely for me.
Cool. Okay. I'll check that one
there's
out.
many other books that I love about small businesses, being an entrepreneur. What I'll do is I'll send you a list and you can
I'll post it too, because the other thing I'll say David and Aaron are great at is just even, you guys are so good at understanding the business and taxes and just all the things that come together. So I think that's crucial too, to be able to lean on some of that.
A lot of the success that our companies have had, quite honestly, have come from my wife. She's the one who's trained in business. She has her MBA.
It's good to have.
She's the rock. She's the stable one, and we stay in our lanes. So you've had probably many guests that you've interviewed for your podcast, and many more that you'll interview. And I think one of the unique things that I have as being one of your guests is coming from a similar childhood.
Yeah,
and
I know. The same
so for
city to grow up
people that are listening to this and watching this and seeing your story, I can just say that you're the real deal. The person that the people knew you as a child and as adolescent, you've always been someone very sincere, very driven, very motivating to other people, and kind of like a magnet,
that's so good to hear.
And that's something I think that's carried, on with you as you've continued to grow and continue to succeed. The things that you've accomplished and the businesses that you've started and the roles that you've had are really amazing. I know when you host your own podcast, it's not necessarily right to do your own flexing or whatever, but honestly, it's just been amazing to watch you grow and to see the opportunities that you've created for yourself.
Oh, thank you, David.
Some of these incredible obstacles that you've had in your own personal life that you've overcome that are amazing. And so anyone who's listening just as a guest, keep listening to Ellen, keep checking out her stuff. because there's so much more in this journey of hers that everyone can learn from.
That means so much. So thank you, David. And I know coming from you, it is very genuine, because David Olson is one of the most genuine persons that I know. This has been lovely. And again, I have so many questions. So we'll maybe have to do this again sometime, because there's a lot of questions that I didn't necessarily go through. What is next for you? If I talk to you in 5 years, what will we see or hear? I know you're going to keep growing. You've mentioned that. But is there any other bit you'd sum up with that?
Yeah, if everything goes, according to plan, and I can't control everything, my oldest daughter will be graduating and going to college, which is mind-blowing to think about.
Yeah.
I'll have a well-established brokerage in Florida as well, and I'll probably have a couple different locations for Super Crew Contractors, our contracting company.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll see. Yeah. I just hope to be a better dad and a better husband and a better influence.
Yeah.
Hopefully to entrepreneurs and anyone looking to grow.
Yeah. No, I love that. And finally, kind of my favorite question that I ask all guests: what inspires you and elevates you daily?
I've heard this phrase that you learn from your experiences, and I totally disagree with it, because people make the same mistakes over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
It's not until they stop and reflect on those experiences that they're able to learn and be able to grow.
Okay.
And so for me, what motivates me daily is reflecting not just on my own life and my own experiences, but on the experiences of my friends and my family. There's so much to learn by being able to just breathe and slow down and reflect.
Yeah.
And so what are those defining moments where you've improved your life? And what are the defining moments that your parents have improved or failed, and your grandparents, and your friends and your siblings? And I'm overwhelmed as I've grown as an adult to look back on even my own family and see them through a different lens, not just as a child, but as an adult, as a parent.
Yeah.
So.
You know what's cool that you just said, David? It kind of brings me back to with the mindset and the psychotherapy I was doing. So we talk a lot about the subconscious state versus the conscious. So when you're doing that, stopping and reflecting, you're actually actively going into your conscious mind, which is key, because so many of us, they say, the research, especially Bruce Lipton is a big one that does a lot of research on this, that most of us, anywhere from 92% of the time, we're in our subconscious state, meaning it's like we're just going through the motions of what we learn from pretty much 0 to 7, of course, throughout our lives. But taking time to stop and reflect allows you to get in the frontal cortex of your brain where you're really thinking about consciously. And that's where you even kind of said it before too. If you're having kind of a depressed day, or you're like, it's just not the best day, when you can stop and reflect, flip it to the positive, you are back into your conscious state of, and that's how we grow and we change and we can be the best versions of ourselves. So
keep on climbing. Keep on climbing. Keep on climbing.
Yeah, I love that. Well, hey, there's a perfect way to end. It's been an honor, a joy, especially to be in your beautiful, wonderful home. Maybe we'll have Aaron on sometime too to really go into the business side. I feel like you are definitely the sales, kind of the educator, the trainer, the one that's like the front of Twin Cities Property Finder. And then she's kind of the
secret sauce.
The secret sauce. I like that.
She's behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We can try to pull her out from behind the scenes, but
yeah, we'll put a blooper so you can see how cute Erin is. There's a fun bloopers they did over Christmas on your YouTube. I saw that the other day. I was like,
She said that's the first and the last video, but maybe.
We'll get her to come on here. She'll do it. It's low pressure, so yeah. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Great to see you, and
thank you.
We'll see you again. And thank you all for joining us on the Elle Daily Podcast, and we'll be back shortly for another interview one of these days soon. Sending you all so much love.
Make sure you subscribe to our channel.
Oh, yes. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Bye.